Hey everyone, alright then, so tonight we're going to have a look at how to play one of the greatest and most underrated guitar solos of all time. That being the phenomenal solo to the Knack's My Sharona by guitarist Burton Averre. Now, when we talk about underrated or underappreciated guitar solos, we don't often know why it's underrated or underappreciated. Why don't more people talk about this solo, and why isn't it more famous in guitar circles? Not just this solo, but lots of underrated solos. Well, with this one, there's actually somewhat of an answer. My Sharona was a huge radio hit upon its release, but it was too long for AM radio play. Their awful solution to this problem? Remove the guitar solo. Thus, a hell of a lot of people don't even know that this song has a guitar solo, let alone one this amazing. Tonight, we're going to teach you how to play it. So let's get started and close in here a little bit. But first, we are in standard tuning with this solo, and we're going to break this tutorial into two parts, as there are two fairly distinct sections of this solo. And that point in the solo is when you think it's over and he just keeps on going. That's the spot I'm talking about that we will consider the beginning of part two. So let's close in here and have a look at how to play it. All right, My Sharona by Burton Averre and the Knack. And we are in standard tuning with this one. And I'm going to first show you the main riff, which is pretty easy to play, and then we're going to dig into the solo. The solo to this one is in C major, but we're going to be soloing quite a bit in the relative minor boxes of A minor. A lot of it right here at the 5th fret of 5th fret position of the A minor, using the A kind of like natural minor scale. But remember, we're in C major. It's exact same notes as the A natural minor. And so let's have a look at the riff first. Pretty easy stuff here. We're sliding from 1 of the low E into 3 and just bouncing off the octave here at the 5th fret of the D string. And that's a C power chord, 3-finger power chord, and then slide it back 2 places to B flat, and then repeat. And then leading into the chorus, he slides that up to 6. C, D sharp, F. Back into that, and that will get you through almost the whole song rhythmically. All right, let's have a look at the solo to My Sharona by Burton Averre and the Knack. And so I'm going to play the first little bit of the solo, and then we'll dig into how to play it. And so let's get up to that point before we move on. So it starts with a slide from 5 to 10 on the D string. Then you're going to back it up to 9 for a double hit. And then you're going to go back to 10 and then down to 7 of the G. And then up to a 9 of the G string, and then back to 7 for a full step bend, kind of like this. And you're going to let that bend release itself just a little bit before moving on. Now that bend, I like to use my index finger. It's pretty much a full step bend. Now, bending with your index finger is not easy, especially full step bends. I'm kind of used to it, so, you know, my index finger is already right there, so I like to use that finger to bend with. But you may prefer to switch to, you know, the more traditional bending finger, your ring finger, but it does take a little more of a jump, kind of like this. Kind of like that. You gotta back it up, it's a bit more of a shift. But I like to use my index, so. Now you're gonna jump from 5, slide back to 4, and then back onto 5. And when you go back to 5, you're gonna hammer onto 7, down to 5 of the B, and then string skip, roll back up to 5 of the D. And then we're into this. Just a little hammer on release from 5 to 7 back to 5, slide back to 3, and then back onto 5. So up to that point. And then we're into this. So we're going to go 7 to 5 of the D. And then we're going to grab 7 of the G, give it a full step bend, grab 8 with our pinky on the B string. And while that bend is still in the air, you're going to hit it and then release it. Very much like a pre-bend, but you're already, you know, you've already bent it, so. And then you're going to go 5, 7, 5, back onto 7 for a double bend. Kill each of those bends once you get it to the top. So up to that point. And then we're into this. Pretty simple, just on the 5s and 7s here. Finishing with a double hit at 7 on the D. And then that little lick, all again on the 5s and 7s. Just on the D and G string. And so let's get up to that point. All right, so now we're into this little bit of fun. And then into that. So if there's a pattern to, you know, he's doing this kind of blues business here. He's bending 7 of the G string. He's got his pinky planted down here on the 8s of the B and the E, and he's kind of playing a pattern like this. If this pattern is more complicated than what I'm doing, I'm not hearing it. And if he does indeed have a set pattern to what he's doing here, again, I'm not hearing it. Here's what I'm hearing. Kind of like that. Bend 7, double hit on the 2 bottom strings, back to the bend, and then just grabbing the single B string at the 8th fret the second time, and then repeat like 4 times. And then finishing up with that, pulling off 7 to 5, up to 7 of the D, back to 5 of the G, and then he repeats the whole thing. Sounds very country out of context, but let's put it together. And then we're into that part there. And so after this, you want to be really aggressive with that too. And that part there, we're sliding into 9 of the G, down to 8/10 of the B, back up to 9 of the G, back down to 8 of the B. Now you're going to kind of play the exact same pattern, but here on the B and the E on the 8th and 10th fret. And you're going to repeat that pattern twice. And again. Kind of like that. And then into that. Pulling off 12 to 8. 10 of the B back to 8. And then pulling off 10 to 8 on the high E. And back up to 10 of the B, back down to 8. And now we're into a repeating pattern. Get that memorized because we're going to start repeating it. So we're doing double pull-offs from the 12 to the 12 to the 8. Grabbing the 10 of the B, back down to 8 of the high E, and then we're going to, after we do that twice, we're going to back it off to 10 and do it again. And then one final 12 back to 8. Like that. And then we're going to go. We're going to jump up here to 13. 13, 12, 10, the whole time bouncing off this 10 of the B. And in context, slowed down, here's what it sounds like. And now we're going to repeat that pattern 3 times in a row. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And now we're going to jump up to the 13th fret and do the exact same thing we did previously. And then we move into the next part of the solo. So that's that part. So let me play that whole part. It can get a little heady trying to get this little pattern memorized, but I'm going to play it slowly from here. And that's that whole part slowed down. And then we're into this little lick here. So we're sliding into 14 of the G string, down to 13 onto 15 of the B, and back to 13, pull off. And then you're going to go back onto 15, give it a full step bend, and catch the note that you're bending up to at the 12th fret of the high E. and then back onto 15 for a double bend, and then catch 17 of the high E with your pinky. And then back to 15 of the B for another double bend, release back to 13. Pulling off to 13, back up to 14 of the G, finishing off at 13 of the B. Kind of like that. And all in context coming out of this, that part there. All right, and now we're into this bit of fun right here. Just kind of repeats that over and over again with a little pattern. He's not just going, over and over again. He's kind of he's bending the 15th fret of the B, and he's got his other finger on 15 of the high E. So he kind of bends. So it's kind of bend, 2, bend, 1, bend, 2, bend, 1, bend, 1, bend, 2, 1, kind of like that is what he's doing. Now, he may be playing little different patterns in there, but, it's really unnecessary to figure out exactly what he's doing, because I don't think he's got a set pattern. He's just riffing on that right there. But this is kind of what he's doing. It's kind of like bend, 2, bend, 1, bend, 1, bend, 2. And then after about 6, he pulls off 15 back to 13, and then starts again. And then he does 4 more and pulls off 15 back to 13 again. 4. And then he does 6 more. And then pulls off to 13 again. And then he's into this lick. So he's sliding into 17 of the B, down to 15, onto 17 of the high E, and then doing little double pull-offs from 17 to 15, grabbing the 17 of the high E, or 17 of the B. And then he does that 3 times, just not doing double pull-offs. 17 to 15, grabbing 17 of the B 3 times. Back to 15, sorry. And then he grabs 18 and gives it a nice big full step bend. That's that lick. And then when he gets that note up there, he's just gonna keep hammering on it for a couple of bars. And that leads us into what we're calling part 2 of the solo. So let's run through the whole thing up to that point at a nice relaxed pace. And we'll call that the end of part 1. All right, part 2 of My Sharona, and it's a little bit shorter than the first section of this one, and it goes a little bit like this. Back into that. So we're sliding into 15 of the B string, and we're bending it as we're sliding. That is a bit of a tricky technique. And then releasing it off to 13 of the B. And then up to 14 of the G, back down to 13 of the B. And then a little pull off from 15 back to 13, up to 14 of the G, back to 13 of the B. And then you're going to jump down to the 15th fret of the high E, give it a full step bend release. And then you're going to pull off 12 back to 10, back onto 12 of the high E. And then you're going to hit it like 4 or 5 times. Kind of like that. And then this little descending run right down the scale. One more time. Finishing up by pulling off 6 to 5 of the B string, up to 7 of the G, back to 5 of the B. And then we're into this. Bending 7 of the G, and then skipping down to the 5th fret of the high E. And then right up the scale. 8, 8, 6, 5 of the B. And finishing with a double hit at 5 of the G. So up to that point, and then we're going to go 7 of the D, 5, 7 of the G, and then we're going to get into this. I don't know how many times that is. 8, maybe 10. It's just bending 7 and catching the bar on the B and the high E at the 5th fret. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 times. And then you're going to keep in that exact same position and start doing what we were doing much earlier. Bend 2, bend 1, bend 2, bend 1. So kind of like this. The first time, just straight, play it straight the first time. Now. So 8 more times playing like that, and then go back to playing it straight again for 8 more times. And then the final 3 times you're going to slow the whole thing down and just give 3 slow bends of that, not really catching the bottom string this time. And then a little scale run there. And finishing on 5 of the G, and then we're into and those are just double stop bends starting on the 7 and 5 of 7 of the G, 5 of the B. Back it up for a double hit, then up to what is that, 10 and 8, and then back to 7, back to 5, and then repeat the whole thing again. And that's the end of the solo. C, G, F, back to G, D, and then back into the song. That's the end of the solo. So let's run through that second half. Well, it's more like the last quarter of this solo at a nice relaxed pace here. And that is how you play the solo, the fantastic solo to My Sharona by Burton Averre, and the Knack, the solo that was missing from the radio edit of this one. And I hope that helped you out if you were looking to learn that great classic solo. And, you know, drop me a subscribe if you haven't done that. And that would be awfully nice. And hit that little notification bell that's around here somewhere, so you'll know when I upload something new. And you guys take care of yourselves, have fun with that one, and we will see you next time. Cheers.